Okay. All right. Okay. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the new format, guys. And I'll just let people jump on here. You're jumping on. Excellent. Welcome. I appreciate you jumping on the live stream. If you're jumping on watching I guess you're not really jumping on. If you're watching the replay, the recording, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm going to get started here right away. I'm not going to wait a long time here before I do get started. If you do find value in this content, in this video, in this live stream, make sure that you smash the like button. I'd appreciate that. Drop me some comments. Get it out there. That would be great. Just want to talk about PulseChain. So if you want to get PulseChain out there, you want to get it in front of some more people. Well, let's do that. Let's share this live stream out there. I've got a little bit of a presentation that I put together here for PulseChain, why I'm bullish on PulseChain, why I believe that PulseChain is probably super undervalued right now. It's probably one of the most undervalued layer one blockchains right now, as it is being gate kept. And by the way, if you could hear me, if you're watching this live and you can hear me, let me know in the comments there. If you see my lips moving but you can't hear, let me know in the comments. We should be good. We should be loud and clear and everything. Everything should be going well. Okay, so yeah, excellent. So I appreciate you jumping on here. And okay, excellent. Good to know. Glad that you could hear me. So I will get started. I'm going to start a quick presentation here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go into PulseChain and why I believe it might be the most undervalued layer one blockchain. All right. And I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited where we are right now in the bull run, and where things are heading to, where things are going. And I think things are going to happen really fast, really quick, and a lot quicker than people really realize, especially with PulseChain. I really think that with PulseChain, especially with PulseChain, a lot of with crypto, we've watched Bitcoin go up. We've watched some of the altcoins starting to move. For example, Ethereum. We need Ethereum to move, right? And now that Ethereum is moving, I think we're going to really start to see things happening. And especially like last week. Okay, so last week, I'm sure everybody realizes that everybody, who's in crypto, not hiding, understands last week was crypto week, right? And with crypto week, crypto started to really move. People say really pumping, but I think it's starting to move. It's not like full-blown, real huge pumps yet, right? But why is that, right? It's not really because there's a lot of liquidity being, just pouring into crypto, into the markets right now. It's not huge euphoria happening right now. What is it? It's certainty. I think there's a lot of certainty that's coming back to crypto right now. And that's really what started the markets to really move, okay? So the certainty coming back in, and we haven't even had that huge rush, that pump of euphoria, liquidity, the rates being cut. We haven't seen a lot of that really happening just yet. So this is good because we've got this strength before that euphoria really comes in. And then when it comes in, it's going to come in really fast, it's going to come in really fast and really hard. And PulseChain, like I've said this before, I've mentioned this and people, ask me about this, is I think, a lot of people don't see it right now and a little bit disappointed, right? But it's going to be one of the later things that happen, I think. It's going to be the effect of so much liquidity really coming into the markets that is when it's really going to go. And it's going to explode, right? So that's why I want to talk a little bit about this. Like, why is PulseChain possibly the most undervalued layer one in crypto right now? Feel free. Hey, drop me some comments, questions, comments, whatever, feedback in the chat there. If I can get to it, during the stream, that'll be great. I will. And if not, I will have a look here at the end, try and keep myself focused on what I'm doing here. Right. So yeah, anyways, let's get started here with this. And what we'll cover here is I want to go over a little bit of the real metrics that are behind PulseChain's usage, right? The real metrics, some of the real metrics, the underrated projects that are being built right now on PulseChain, some of the new exciting things, a little bit about Richard Hart's Ethereum war chest, whether he uses it or not. It's all speculation, right? Remember that? It's all speculation. And, along those lines as well, let me mention that none of this is financial advice, right? None of this is financial advice. This is crypto. Do your own research, make your own decisions when it comes to building a portfolio in crypto. All right. So yeah, keep that in mind. I'm not telling you to buy PulseChain. I'm not telling you to buy anything on PulseChain. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just bringing it to you, right? It's what I'm doing. Okay. This is what I'm choosing to do. You choose what you choose to do. And I'll bring up a little bit about some gatekeeping. I did as well in my Pulse X stream. I talked about the gatekeeping a little bit more in depth there. And, what we should be doing, as far as positioning, have a position. That's really the bottom line. So make sure you have a position in PulseChain, all right, in some of this stuff. I would hate that you didn't, not advice, but I think it would be a mistake that if you did not have a position. Just think of imagine if it did 100x, right? I mean, I know it seems like a lot. Maybe some people it doesn't seem like very much, right? But $100 does wonders with the 100x, right? So yeah, what makes a layer one valuable? First, back here, look at it. Okay, so I want to talk about the real metrics behind PulseChain, right? The usage, right? Why? Because the thing is this, right? Some people may not like it, right? Some people may not like Richard Hart. Some people may not like PulseChain. They don't like Hex. They don't like all this stuff. I don't really like the guy. I don't like his attitude. I don't like the way he speaks. I don't like his face or so. I don't know, right? So people don't like things, but that doesn't mean that something has no value or it's no good or the what's behind it will not succeed, right? And you got to watch that. You gotta don't stand in your own way, right? I don't like McDonald's. I don't like their food. I think it's horrible. I think it's garbage. I will not feed it to my daughter. I think the stuff is disgusting, and it's like, how could you put that stuff in you? I mean, I'm not saying I don't eat other fast food. I do, and I try to got to cut that out too, right? But I mean, I don't like it, but it doesn't mean that McDonald's hasn't been successful, right? It does very, very well. You can't stop it from doing very well just because you don't like it, right? So that's the same thing with like PulseChain, Hex, Richard Hart. You may not like it, but there's some good usage, good metrics that are behind it that's going to cause the success anyways, right? And that's it. Let me get to this here very quickly here. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm working on this. Let's see here. Crypto Playbook. Easily the best money I've spent. I cannot emphasize this. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that, RC Rooster. I do have the Crypto Wealth Playbook. It's something that I put together here as far as, for going through the crypto market cycle, when to sell, what are macro signals for exit strategy, re-entry strategy, rotating into Bitcoin strategy, just an entry strategy of building or there's a strategy on building a conviction-based portfolio and understanding the whole market cycle and playing it the macro perspective with crypto. So I believe there's a lot of value in that playbook, so you can check it out there as well, right? Anybody else? So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, RC Rooster. I was brand new 3 months ago, and now I have a good foundation. I also want you to know, when I onboard others, I use primarily your videos. plus Crypto Coffee. Yeah, Crypto Coffee, he's got some good stuff too. You know, he's good for PulseChain, you know. Yeah. So we'll continue on here. We're going to talk about some of the core drivers, such as the high transaction speed. You know, there's high transaction speed. You know, speaking of what makes a layer one valuable, right? What makes a layer one valuable is high transaction speed and volume. Dev activity. Are things being built, right? Is there anything being built? Anything new being built? Any future projects? Any good projects on the chain being built? dApps, for example, right? You know, what's being built, and PulseChain has things being built, right? The community strength and adoption. One of the most important things in crypto in a project is going to be the community. You could have probably a crappy project, but such a strong community behind it that it will do better than a project that has huge utility, quality, excellent utility, but no one's behind it. No community, no strength in the community. You know, PulseChain has huge, strong community, lots of strength behind the community, right? And deep liquidity in major pairs, right? With potential of scalability and real utility. And that is exactly what I believe PulseChain has. It's undervalued, right? I think there's so much more value than people can see here right now. And this is what, PulseChain, the real numbers. You can go to DeFi Llama, you can go to Dex Screener, you can go to several different places. You can go on chain, and you can see all of these numbers. So these numbers, this isn't just something that I made up or somebody made up. It says, I think there's probably about this amount, this many transactions or anything like that, right? No, in fact, I think there was higher, but maybe recently it's gone down a little bit. But we see yesterday, I went and I put this together as of yesterday. Or last night, this is what I see, right? I go to GeckoTerminal, and I can see that there is over 300,000 daily transactions, right? On a blockchain that supposedly is no good, and nobody knows about it. Nobody wants to have anything to do with, supposedly, that is, right? So there's 300,000 daily transactions. Not too bad, right? Of course, it could be a lot more, but we haven't had the adoption yet. There isn't a huge amount of people on here, but there's still 300,000 daily transactions. There's 35 million to 46 million in DEX volume in 24 hours, right? Right now. And this is also when we're going through a little bit of a dip over the past couple of days, right? Why? Because we need to retest before we go up again. But that's how it is. So there's good volume. Not too bad. I mean, I understand some blockchains are huge, right? When you look at it. But hey, this is pretty good still. 35 to 46 million in DEX volume, 300,000 daily transactions. This is undervalued, you guys. The major pairs, with these major pairs, this is where the transactions and these volume is at, right? And I'm going to take a look at this. This is where I got this. I took a screenshot yesterday on GeckoTerminal showing you this 301,000 transactions with, this was a couple of days ago. Okay, so and it's gone down 30% with the change compared to yesterday, as this one was saying, right? So, the volume, the transactions, huge. And you can go here yourself. You can go and you can check it out, right? And see if I'm lying, see if this is true or not, right? I encourage you, go and do the research, and I'll provide some of this information for you here. You can go and you can check it out yourself. Go look on GeckoTerminal, look on DeFi Llama, look on Dex Screener, look at these resources, and you can see yourself what these, what the metrics are, right? Okay. Here's another screenshot of GeckoTerminal showing you some of the these are some of the main major top liquidity pairs right here, where you can see this volume, these transactions happening right here. This is the volume for these. These are the transactions with just these ones here. Okay, there's a whole bunch of other pairs and assets that you can look at. So yeah, absolutely. If you guys are finding value in this, if you like this information coming out here regarding PulseChain, I appreciate if you want to give it a like, smash that like button, try and get this out there a little bit more. And yeah, some comments, just let me know how you feel about this, right? I want to talk, we have real liquidity. PulseChain, real liquidity flow, all right? Stable pairs, they're active, USDC, pDAI, DAI, pDAI, right? These are some of the major pairs, or with the pDAI, hopefully it's good. I could see this. There's a narrative with that, right? With the pDAI, okay? Users are trading, they're farming daily. That's happening. I was doing some yield farming. I was doing some liquidity mining on PulseX. I did on 9inch. I have PulseX. A few of these other smaller protocols, DEXs, ecosystems that are out there. I'm not right now. Right now, myself, I'm just wanting to just hold most of what I'm doing, right now, and let it move up that way. That's just personally myself. If I will be moving back in, but yes, there's real trading, there's real liquidity mining, real yield farming. People are doing that here on PulseChain in these top DEXs. So there's lots of liquidity being provided. All right. It's all on-chain. All the on-chain volume is legit. None of it's spoofed. Like I said, go do your research yourself. Check it out. I provide you the links as well for this, so you can check it out. And then we have the dev activity. Who's building? What kind of stuff? Like I said, who's building? Are there devs building on a layer 1? Are there devs building on the blockchain? Or is it just a dead chain? No, not here. Not on PulseChain. It's alive. It's ticking. There's work going on. There's exciting great projects that are happening, being built, being developed further, ongoing, and a lot of exciting ones, such as Liberty Swap. There's a lot of talk about Liberty Swap right now. Like Liberty Swap, this is really cool, guys. All right. I got a couple shots of Liberty Swap here, but Liberty Swap, private bridge and swap. Now, it's not a swap with like a DEX where you're swapping on the chain, within the chain from, for example, PLS to PLSX or anything like that, or HEX to PLS. We're not doing that. It's not that swap on this chain. Go over to PLSX for that. Go to one of the other DEXs for that. But this, it's a swap from one chain over to the other chain, a cross-chain swap. It's private. If you're not familiar with it, this is golden. This is one of the keys that's really going to be onboarding people to PulseChain. Extremely. Like, this is super, super easy, super cheap, fast, and it's private. There's a privacy aspect to this. All right. You want your privacy? Use the Liberty Swap finance. It's like Blockblend, right? Where you got a privacy bridge. But this is even easier and so super cheap, right? Like, if you can get on the base, if you're not on a PulseChain yet, if you don't have PLS, if you can get on base, if you can get on Binance Smart Chain, right? If you can get on Ethereum, you can get on one of these blockchains and use a Web3 wallet, MetaMask, super easy. You can get your PulseChain just like that. All right. Absolutely super easy. See here. Liberty Swap is epic. Through their X account, keeps saying everything should be $1. Seems a bit exaggerated. Yeah. I'm not digging in too much there. There are some people that are. I know Dirty Crypto. He's been doing a lot of digging into that. You can check him out, and he's been digging into Asami as well. They've been digging into the Liberty Swap, all the coded things and hidden messages and whatever. I don't know a lot of that, but it is very, very interesting, So check out their X, Twitter X, and follow them there. Check it out, because there are some exciting things that are happening here with that. And we've got pDAI as well, decentralized stablecoin that'll peg to $1. Will it or will it not? I don't know. It could not. Maybe not. Might get some hate for being a little bit in the middle, but I've got my position, and I think you'd be crazy not to. Okay. Hey, I don't know. I'm just going with it, and I think it's a great narrative. I think it's great. Like it adds some fun. Like, why not? Right? So that's a huge narrative, and that's a huge narrative for PulseChain now. The whole blockchain as a whole. Okay, right? Teddy Bear, Atropa, PTG, all these meme coins, all this stuff that's being built and where it's built and progressing forward. Right? A lot of excitement on here. And then we got other tools, GoPulse, Pulse Hot List, we got Pulse Coin List. You've got all sorts of great resources that you can go to and you can check it out and you could use, right? It is the $1 million question. Will it peg? Will it not? Right? Who knows? Whatever. Grab a position. If it only does 100x, what does $100 do? That's pretty nice. Put a couple hundred. Put a few hundred. Right? Who knows? Right? Yeah. And so have a look at this. This is a couple shots that I got here. I put this for Liberty Swap. If you're new, if you're watching this, you're new, you haven't got on PulseChain, you don't know how just yet, trying to figure that all out. It's super easy. Like I said, if you could use Base, if you could use Ethereum, if you're able to get on Ethereum and you could use Uniswap, or you could use any kind of DEX that swaps from one token to another token, then this is super easy. Okay. Think about this. You don't even need to know how to get onto another blockchain or realize that you're on another blockchain just yet before you can even get Pulse on PulseChain, right? Like if you can, and I say Base, I think this is really great. This is good because Base chain is super cheap. You don't have to go over now to like the main net of Ethereum and use these really high gas fees. Okay, I've always been showing people, hey, you want to get over on PulseChain, use Base chain, use Polygon, just get over and then get over on the PulseChain. It's really cheap. The gas fees, they're really inexpensive to do it that way instead of going over to Ethereum. Even though right now, I will say Ethereum is cheap. Ethereum's dirt cheap right now. Okay, it is. I mean, I don't know what it was. I mean, really, even if you're looking at $1 or you're looking less than $1, you're looking at a few cents for to do a swap or to do transactions on Ethereum. I believe it was around that. It was like so super dirt cheap last time I was using Ethereum not too long ago, and that's cheap. But it's not going to always be that way. Once things really take off, if it's anything like it was last bull run, in 2021, things are going to get really, really expensive. Okay. And you could be looking at several $100s for unstaking things, right? And so that will be pretty bad. But for now, it is cheap. But we can look at it. If you can get onto Base Chain or you can get on a Binance Smart Chain, or you're over there already and you don't, how do you get over to PulseChain? It's easy. Use this. If you're over there and you've got USDC and Base, all you got to do is now use this, connect your wallet, and you select PLS, and then you swap it for PLS, and you're there. You didn't even go and add any network to your MetaMask or anything like that yet. All you do is go use your Base and swap it for PLS, and you've got it. Then afterwards, go over to like chainlist.org and add the network for PulseChain, and then you'll see it on your MetaMask or something like that. But you don't need to do that just yet because it's the same address. You got a MetaMask wallet, your same address for Ethereum as it is for PulseChain. So you just swap it over there and you're good to go. That's why I say it's super, super easy. And right now, like right now they've got mainly stable coins from a few different chains, and you can swap into several of these different coins on PulseChain just like that using a swap, and it's a privacy swap. So that's why I really like it. Follow them on Twitter here or X, and follow all of the hidden coded messages and stuff like that, and have some fun and see if you could decipher it and see what's actually being said, or follow somebody that's spending their time doing that, right? Just, figuring out what all their coded messages are. All right. The PulseChain community strength, like I said, one of the most important things for blockchain, for a project, crypto project, is the community. All right. A strong community. It signals active growth, strong sentiment in the market. It's strong getting together and pushing up their project. Okay. And look at how PulseChain, Hex, PulseChain, Richard Hart community, how we've crashed, we've gone to the bottom where everybody's pointing their fingers and laughing and saying everything that they can think of, right? Oh, he's being charged by the SEC, all this, and he beat the SEC, and the community sticks together in strength, and that's what really brings a project. It really brings it up and does very, very well. Okay. So there's an active community on Telegram, on Reddit, on YouTube, on Twitter, on X, right? Huge Discords. There's lots of community out there. A lot of streamers and people creating YouTube videos for PulseChain, PulseX, Hex, for the community. All right. Loyal Hex and are Richard Hart supporters, right? Like I said, banding together, strength and strong, and you can't knock them down. You can't knock them down. Hex can go and PulseChain, it can crash 99%, at the beginning of the bull market and stay there and remain 90% down until the last remaining 9th hour of the hours, like we are right now, and we're still sticking together, saying we're still going to go strong. Why? Because the facts don't lie, the metrics don't lie. What's happening on chain, it doesn't lie. Okay, don't let your emotions get involved. It's the truth is here, right? Okay, and there's no VCs, and we're still growing organically. It's an ETH style grassroots energy, just like the very, very beginnings, right? I wasn't really around in the very beginnings, right? But when you can look back and you can see how the communities were, and still sticking around, this is what it's about. This is how this is. Strong community with the PulseChain community, right? So yeah, I prefer core coins, Hex, PLS, PLSX, Inc. Sure, absolutely. And I think, all of them, all of these, right? If a person isn't holding these, like I said, I think you're crazy. Absolutely. Nut bar, right? Like, I tell you, I think a lot of even haters out there, there's a lot of haters of the PulseChain and Richard Hart community. And, I think they're still holding. And if they're not, they're coming back and they're buying and they're going to hold, and they'll just keep their mouth shut or whatever. And I was even watching a guy recently, and he said, even himself, he says, oh, and he's been around, and I won't mention who, but he's been around, and and he says, I was calling him a scammer even last year, and but I can't ignore it, he says. I'm back, and I think you'd be a fool if you weren't holding any of these coins. And this is a guy who, he says, I called him a scammer. I was thinking so too. I don't really like the guy, but that doesn't matter, right? You'd be a fool not to. He says, what happened with the SEC? Well, he's proven that he's not a scammer. I don't think he is, but that's what he thought for a bit. And that's what I mean. There's going to be a lot of people that are like that are not talking about Hex, not talking about PLS and PLSX. They will. Or whether they do or not, we'll go on without them, right? Richard Hart's got this war chest, with the ETH war chest. Now this is speculation, guys. This is just speculation. I'm not saying this is the absolute and this is what's going to happen. Remember, none of this is financial advice. This is only opinion and narrative speculation by many. But again, on-chain data supports a lot of what is out there, whether it's being used or not. In fact, this is kind of one of some of the, what do you call it? What's the word for it? Almost, I guess, kind of a little bit of hatred towards Richard Hart that some people had in the past. And it kind of got me in 2020, right? I was a Hex holder at the time, but I also didn't understand. I didn't even know what a lot of this was, right? At that time. But, there was FUD. And there was FUD about Richard Hart because of his holdings, okay? And, whether he used his holdings to pump Hex or not, right? That was a little bit of hatred for that by some people. Now, people can think like, oh yeah, I don't like him. I don't like that. I don't think that's really good. He's got all this ETH. He's going to use that ETH and he's going to pump it. Oh yeah, Hex did very well. Yeah, Hex did several X. It pumped. It did really, really well. But that's because Richard Hart did this. He did that. He did this and that. That's why. So I don't like it. And no, I'm not gonna hold any position in this project over here, because if it goes up, it's going to be because he does it and he makes it go up. So what? Who cares, right? I mean, like, oh, I don't want this because it's going to go up, but I don't like the why it's going to go up, or like, how stupid kind of thinking is that, right? That's ridiculous. Okay, so whether he uses it or not, right? This war chest, it's there. It's narrative. It's speculation. But what's it involved, right? Well, let's break this down. The Ethereum on PulseChain, it's the 5th largest ETH reserve across all chains right now. Not even being just Richard Hart, but let me hide this one here. Let's see. Yeah. The SEC going after Richard Hart made me more intrigued in PLS. And then that is absolutely true as well for many people. And I know that too, right? I know that because I've spoken to people, and one person that I know, not online, in real life. And I remember this guy in church, he asked me, he's like, "Oh, how do I get that PLS again?" Because this is still when the lawsuit was going on. He's like, what was it? The different things going on with like Solana and XRP and all that stuff was going on too. And he says, "Yeah, I'm actually, I think it's a really good idea. It's a really good thing to have. I'll get some of that PLS now because of what happened even with the other coins, right? And lawsuits got dropped in that. Well, and then when we look at Richard Hart with PulseChain, the lawsuits didn't get dropped. He actually beat them, right? And not everybody realizes that. I was reading an article on Coinly a little while ago, and they're talking about how the SEC dropped the case. It's like, no, they didn't. They lost. Why don't you guys admit it, right? But yeah, it makes it bullish because now it also brings up a lot of attention to it. But then they find out that he actually beat the SEC. That's huge. That is bullish, guys. That's bullish news, right? Okay. So absolutely. Sleeping Giant's been sleeping for quite some effing time now. It's a chain full of cringe and tumtards. Well, hey, I appreciate your comment, appreciate your input. But yeah, hey, maybe you'll get a little bit something out of this, out of what we're talking about here. All right. And like I said, everything is verifiable. Everything is on chain and trackable, right? Okay, so just remember that. The 5th largest ETH reserve, PulseChain, bridging over 55.55 ETH and 555.55 ETH being bridged over in those chunks. verifiable on chain as well. Why is that? Bridging back over, and I think it's bridging back over these chunks of ETH like that. Could it be, could it be used, right? Maybe, maybe not, right? Speculation, okay? It could be used for liquidity. It could be used for stable coins. It's all speculative what it's going to be used for. If not, but why is it being bridged over if it's not going to be being used, right? Okay. The strategic ETH reserve. Now, you could think, yeah, it's a sleeping giant for some time. But like I said, I think this is, at the beginning I was mentioning this, is PulseChain and this ecosystem. A lot of it's going to be the last. It could very well be some of the last moving, wealth creation, last moving ecosystems, last moving tokens, whatever you want to call it, to really pump and really load people's pockets, or whatever the case is, to really show. But one of the last moving throughout this year. Maybe not, right? Maybe it goes tomorrow. I don't know. But you can hate on it, but you probably got a bag yourself. It doesn't matter. If, like I said, there's going to be a lot of haters, and they got their own bags full too. It doesn't matter, right? But here, like I said, everything's verifiable. You go check things out yourself. Strategic ETH reserve.xyz. All right, the 5th largest ETH reserve. So PulseChain, right here, over 166,000 Ethereum. It's not $166,000 worth of Ethereum, guys. This is 166,000 Ethereum. What's Ethereum worth right now? $3,700. What's 166,000 times 3,700, right? What's 166,000 times $10,000 ETH when it gets to $10,000? That's a lot. This isn't something minor, just something to, I think it's all garbage. PulseChain's got a larger reserve of ETH than the US government. Okay? Yeah, but they're the government. I know, but they are on their way. They are working their hardest right now to undecentralize, to centralize Ethereum, and really turn it into a centralized blockchain type of thing, to make sure they have the control. But PulseChain's still got way more ETH than the US government, or even Coinbase, more than Coinbase, more than BitDigital, more than these other exchanges, right? They got more PulseChain, more Ethereum, 166,000 in the reserve. Go and verify it yourself. Go to strategicethreserve.xyz, verify it yourself. Go on chain and take a look at it, right? Richard Hart wallets. And by the way, like I'm saying, with this, the strategic ETH reserve, this 166,000, that's the SAC wallet. Yes, it is the SAC wallet. Okay, that's a sacrifice reserve. Yeah, that's the wallet that the SEC wanted to sue Richard Hart, because he's spending all this money on these handbags and whatever, his watches or whatever that he already had to begin with the money he already had. This is the money that they say that he was misappropriating. It's right there. It's still there, guys. Okay? So that's why they lost. That's why he beat the SEC, because they got no ground. They got no legs to stand on. You know what I'm saying? Right? And yeah, it's not even started yet. Like you said, the strategic PulseChain reserve is huge, bigger than Coinbase, ETH, and ETH balance. Exactly. And that's the thing. Now, this is what I'm saying. This is a SAC wallet, not including, this is what I was trying to get to in a long route around sometimes with me, ADHD. But this is what I'm trying to get to. This reserve is a SAC wallet, and not including his personal wallets or anybody else's, or the other stuff that he used right here that was even talked about. Okay, right? The Richard Hart buying Ethereum with staked DAI. If you remember when this happened, this is also as well, you can search it out, you can find it yourself. I'm not making this up either. But confirmed activity from 2024, this is not the SAC wallet that did this. These are other wallets that did this, okay? And they have been researched to be connected to Richard Hart, that he bought 97,000 to 122,000 ETH, not $97,000 worth of ETH again, right? 97,000 ETH, 122,000 ETH. Average purchase price when he bought that was $3,600 to $3,800 per ETH last year. That's just over a year ago. And then what happened, right? So it's also confirmed here, right? 11 wallets, and that's 363 million DAI used to acquire this ETH. And here's a couple of news sites, BitGet and Binance, posted about this, right? So what is this? What happened when he did this, right? $3,800 ETH at that time. What happened in the markets? It dumped. The markets dumped. Ethereum crashed. It went down. And then people started laughing. Oh my goodness, look at that. He bought the top. I don't think he really cared, right? And, he bought the top. Well, it wasn't the top. The top was 49 something, right? It just didn't make it back yet. And to say the market cycle was over at that time, then you guys still are quite ignorant, don't understand market cycles, right? Which is why you need the playbook. If if that was you, but it wasn't the top. It was last year. And when right around like the halving time, right? March, around then, right? When this happened, and ETH went down. Now where are we at? $3,700 to $3,800 for the ETH. We're right back where it was. So is he going to use it? Is this speculative? It's all speculative, right? Is he going to use this war chest? Is he going to use this? This is not the SAC, right? This is not the sacrifice wallet. So how much ETH are we looking at here? A lot of Ethereum, right? And so this is what I'm saying now. This is why I'm so bullish on this. If this isn't making you bullish, then what is? What would, right? If we said that this is going to be used as a cross-border payments type of thing, that in order so that you could be able to send payments from one country to another, would that make you feel better? I don't know, man. But like, look at the amount here. Like I said, last market cycle in 2021, 2020, okay, 2021, Hex was doing its thing, and you had haters. And you're saying, well, look at, he's just using Ethereum, going in a circle, rinsing or something, whatever he was doing, right? And you got mad at that. If that was you and you're looking at that, and then now you're looking at all this Ethereum and say, well, if it goes up, he's just going to use this, he's just going to, and you're going to avoid it? No, you're not. No, you're not. You're holding a nice bag. You probably, for your own good, you're probably holding the bag, right? I don't think you really care, right? So, yeah, you've got that. Here's a screenshot of Dirty Cryptos. Thank you, Dirty Crypto. I found it online, talking about the 55.55, 555.55 Ethereum chunks that are bridging back into PulseChain, right? Coming on in here, ready to do its thing, add for liquidity. See all this Ethereum, right? That's sitting here. So that's why it is really probably the second largest Ethereum reserves over here on PulseChain. So much Ethereum over here, ready to maybe put into PLS, any of these core coins. And that's the thing about all the core coins. They're all together, all liquidity bonded together. They're all going to move up. They're all going to do very well. Okay. So, what is this? Oh yeah, full of those, eh? Okay. Let's see here. What is holding what's holding this back right now? Gatekeeping, right? There's a lot of gatekeeping here right now. Still, why? Like why? Right? CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko. It's listed, it's there, but you got to search, you got to dig it up, right? You got to really look for it. It's down there, it's being buried, even though it's the biggest. It's holding so much, so much Ethereum, so much value. There's a transaction, there's the volume, it's all there. They got to actually blank it out, right? Not even list that type of information so that it's pushed down and it doesn't rise up. But it won't be like that forever. You can't continue to keep on gatekeeping something like that and get away with it, right? There's no centralized exchange listings, right? Like I was mentioning on PulseX stream last time, is it's really going to be a race. I think it's a race to see who's going to be listing PLS or PulseChain, any of this stuff first on the exchanges, right? Binance, KuCoin, Coinbase, Kraken. Who's going to list it first, right? My bets are Binance. My bet is Binance. Very similar, a lot of similar story, with Binance and PulseChain. Okay. And everybody talks, a lot of people like when Binance, with whatever other meme coins or other little projects that people are jumping into, when Binance, when Coinbase, when this, when that, when exchange listing, and they want to get in and be early for that. Well, you're early. Welcome to the party, right? You're welcome. You're here. You're early. In fact, I tell you what, everybody that's here, everybody that's able to start jumping into PulseChain, PLSX, Hex, jumping into this here right now, you're so early that you're earlier than those that have been here 2 years ago. You're so early, you're earlier than the actual early sacrificers who sacrificed, and we sacrificed our crypto in 2021, right? For this. And we had to wait 2 years for our tokens and then watch them go down 90% and sit here and wait. You're that early. You're earlier before any of us that bought in with a sacrifice phase. That's how early you are, because you get to buy it dirt cheap, right? Influencers won't touch it yet, right? They will. Large influencers, large YouTubers, they'll be talking about this. Like I said, one was talking about it. I was watching this guy yesterday, and he was talking about it, saying he hated Richard Hart. He thought he was a scammer, but then he decided, well, no, he's not a scammer, actually. And you know what? I think this is really going to do very well. Could potentially do 100x, right? And this is the thing. I want to mention this now, right? Hey, do you really think, this is something that I learned as well, that I realized, right? Because when I first bought Hex back in 2020, right? After it launched, and I bought it cheap, and then I sold it at a penny. I know, it was bad, right? I bought into hype, or not hype, I bought into FUD. I got FUDded out of my bags and into this other new project that was supposed to be better because it had a large liquidity. Well, that large liquidity just tanked their project, and it was a flop. It was a fail, and it was not a wise decision to do so. And, so I got FUDded out. But what I realized is, don't bet against them. Don't bet against don't bet against this ecosystem here, right? This is the thing. Richard Hart, talking about like his war chest, talking about ETH and all this kind of stuff. Is he going to use it? Is he going to use that war chest, right? Let's go back, like, for example here, right? Is he going to, will he use this? Will he use, talking about this sort of stuff, right? Is he going to use it? Will he use that ETH? Whatever's going to happen, I don't know. Nobody knows. It's speculative stuff. But here's my take on this. Don't bet against it. Have a position, right? And the main reason is this. If people want to hate on him because he's got such a large ego, but that could be your key. You see, that guy's got he's one of the most egotistic, largest ego guys, probably the biggest in crypto, right? But that could be the advantage, right? Do you think that this, like, seriously, ask yourself this question. And now, you like the guy here that mentioned this, right? Sleeping giant, sleeping quite some time, right? You guys mad. I if maybe you're mad, I don't know, maybe you were as well a sacrificer instead of, I was too. A lot of us have. And instead of buying more and lowering your cost, you just capitulated or something like that, right? And then you got mad. I don't know, but and you don't like the guy. He's got a lot of ego. Well, let me ask you this: do you really think, with an ego like that, do you really think that he's going to be happy with? Well, let's just get it back to SAC price. Because if you go back to SAC price from where we're at right now, what Ethereum or PLS is at, like just over the 0.0003, just maybe a 3x up to SAC. You think, okay, a 3x. Well, let's go a little bit higher. Okay, PLS does a 5x from the very bottom. I don't think that's going to happen myself. Well, okay, maybe it'll do a 10x. 20. You think so? Right? I mean, if you want to look at a lot of, I don't think that's going to be as satisfactory for somebody if you're going to say, well, you look at the egotistic guy, he has such an ego. Do you think he's going to be, you think he'll let that happen? No. Right? That's my thoughts. No guarantees, just speculation, right? I don't think that, if Hex did a 10,000x, right? Hex did a 10,000x, is Pulse going to be satisfactory, right? That's why I say gatekeeping, it's an opportunity. It's the underdog advantage. If Hex was ignored and hated on, and it did a 10,000x, yeah, from the bottom. Well, where are you at right now in PLS? You're at the bottom, a little bit from the bottom. Well, if it only does 100, if it only does like, what, 1%, if it only does 100x, would you be happy? If it only did 50x, would you be happy? Because that's very, very, very good. If it only does a 5x, you think people are going to be? You think Richard Hart will be? Well, I'll just sit back. Yeah, see you guys. There you go. I don't think he's going to sit back with that. So is the war chest a bunch of tools that will be used or not? Maybe, possibly, right? We'll see. BNB, like when I mentioned this on the PLSX stream, BNB was dismissed. What happened? It made millions. It was kicked down. Nobody wanted it. It's a piece of garbage. No good, right? Nobody wanted to have it. It was garbage, right? And all of a sudden, boom, it did very well. And look at it now. What is it? Almost 800, 700 something for one BNB. That's doing pretty good, right? Well, PulseChain could very well do the same. PulseChain showing the same early symptoms as BNB did. So I said, that's why I think Binance probably be the chain, probably, or the exchange that lists it all. See, it's easy. You go through a lot of turmoil, a lot of struggles, and a lot of trials and stuff like that as well himself. And he's beat it, and he's paid his price. He's done his time, literally, right? He's been doing it. And very similar to PulseChain, so very high potential that Binance could be the first one, could be the first exchange to really list it. You know what I'm saying? So right now, yeah, smart money is moving in before the narrative really flips. People are hating on it, people not liking it, people hating on it. But I believe even some of the haters, they're still grabbing their bags. They're still grabbing a position. Otherwise, they'd be a fool. You'd be a fool. And not necessarily really haters, though. That's the thing, too. I mean, I'm just, for more or less, larger influencers, YouTubers, larger, the big ones, the ones that, you know, the huge influencers that don't want to talk. Yeah, I wonder why. You know, you're talking about everything else except for this at times. You wonder why. But I believe they've got their bags. I believe they still have some. They've got themselves a bag. They're loaded up. They have a position. I really believe they do. They don't want to talk until they've got the huge ones. Bro, okay, let's see here. What's this one? Which are your targets for this bull market for the core coins? You know, I'm not really, you know, I really I really don't like to say, you know, much for actual targets. To tell you the truth, it's I know it's going to be very interesting to see things play out. You know, I mean, we can look at it and go, maybe it does a like I said, it's really hard to it's hard to really piece that together. But I mean, hey, it's going to do a 10x from SAC price. That's 100x. Oh, maybe it'll do 1000x, like PLS, that is. Hex, maybe Hex will, you know, maybe Hex possibly, you know, we'll see because it's split in two. Maybe it does that. Maybe it does go to 50 cents. You know, I don't know. I don't really. It's really like in this ecosystem particular, that is right. It's hard to do up your TA and hard to really, you know, measure things up. Uh, you know, and measure everything up and say this is what I think it is. I just really don't want to. I really don't want to be throwing out like price targets, to tell you the truth. Okay. Number one, because I'm probably not the greatest. I'm not good at, you know, trying to figure out price targets for this. All I know is I've got a position, and I believe it's going to do very, very well. Uh, you know, I mean, I'm probably much better at doing targets. You know, I'm looking at Bitcoin because I can that and stuff, and I think that was a lot easier. You know, it's very interesting. As I said, you know, and I don't want to be one of those guys that be like, "Look, I was right. And I know how to do all this TA, and I know how to figure everything all out," because I don't. I'll tell you the truth. I don't. I don't know all the TA. All I know is to follow liquidity, follow the macro cycle, follow all the signals, follow the indicators, and to know where we are at and what the market is doing, to follow it that way. And that's what I've been learning, and that's what I need to follow. And when I look at, for example, exit signals for my exit strategy, none of the signals are flashing. Nothing is telling me anything about any taking profits on anything just yet, right? Because we've still got time to climb up there, right? If you're really heavy in Bitcoin, possibly, and move over, but even still yet with Bitcoin, so I could move my target. I was going to say this is, I remember back in 2022, because I was measuring and doing all these different things on my charts and playing things differently, and I didn't even understand a lot of this macro stuff even back then in 2022, right? But I was measuring from the previous cycles and stuff like that, and I go, you know what, Bitcoin, yeah, 120,000 to 150,000, 125, I think, in the middle of 2025. And look at, here we are with that. But then now when I look at all these, the indicators, I look at the signals for the macro top signals, and none of them are flashing. And I see stuff like Bitcoin dominance has barely been dropping, right? I look at ETH BTC still at the bottom, still about to move up, right? I don't see the rate cuts finished. They're still about to do that, and especially the US. There's all of these things that need to happen yet. Bitcoin could still be going very higher, could go much higher. It could go, we could see that 200,000. I'm not buying a $500,000. I'm not buying the prediction of it going to 500,000 or 250. I really find 200, 250 is really, you know, too much of a stretch for me still. I think that we are pretty much, like, for me, but because all these macro signals aren't there yet, it could still be going higher. but I still think that it's 120, or I mean, still up to like now maybe 150 to 175. Maybe I'll move up a little bit like that, right? But I don't think you're going way higher than that, right? But altcoin does another story, and things can move like that. We can see like Pulse, like I said, PLS, even Hex, right? Or PLS, you could see that could do 1,000x in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It could, right? Because liquidity is so small, right? All this liquidity left a little while ago, PulseChain, right? And I saw that, and people are like, "What? Everything is leaving. Everything is going down. It's no good." That's why it's like you got these comments like this. It sucks. Well, that's why I think there's something up. I think there's something going on that thin this liquidity out and have people capitulated, and then all of a sudden, when the time comes, pour it in, boom, 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 and then it goes. That's what I think is very much could happen. But core coins, that make sure you've got a lot of the core coins. I think. I don't know. I'm not going to give any. I can't give any actual dollar targets on that. I'm not your guy for that. Yeah. 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 These are the bullish catalysts that I'm looking at, and what we need to watch for next is, rankings on CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko. They will be there. In fact, I mean, will they be? Well, I mean, they are there, right? So they are there. But what I'm saying is corrections that get these rankings to be fixed, to show the volume and the transactions and the correct ranking of where it should be, right? Will that happen? Because I mean, it didn't happen yet for Hex, and it's the second cycle for Hex. Will it not happen until next cycle? I don't know. Who knows, right? But it is something that to be watching for. pDAI adoption as it grows. Will it grow? Sure, absolutely. Will it peg? Maybe, maybe not, right? But it's a narrative, to be watching for. Have a position, the ETH reserves. Watch to see if and when they do get deployed. If he does use that war chest, and if he does, strap in, get your seatbelts on, make sure you're ready. You got your helmets on for the moon. Very, very strong, powerful ignition there, right? First exchange listing. Wait for that. Wait for the big YouTubers to really start covering. I mean, not waiting. This is what I'm looking for, right? Well, we will be seeing this type of stuff happen. This is all going to be like real top signals, right? Where we're going to see a lot of this stuff happening, right? And a lot of this will happen. Remember even with Hex, right? After the show is out, after things are really happening, and there was a new sacrifice happening for PLS, PulseChain, then PulseX, right? All of a sudden, interviews and live streams, interviews were happening about what was going to happen. So you never know. There could be some interviews. Wow, you really did it. You really pulled it up. I didn't know you were going to do it, but you did it. Look, there you did it 10,000x on PLS. Like, wow, look at all the millionaires that were created. Can we all sit there as huge millionaires after that happens? How does that work? Well, we'll see there, right? If you found value and this is good for you, I also have my playbook. There was one comment mentioned about the playbook, right? It's the crypto playbook on, what I'm looking for, how I'm exiting, top macro signals that I'm looking at in order to start laddering out of the crypto market, taking profits, rotating back in, rotating into Bitcoin, rotating into altcoins, all of that stuff, building a conviction-based portfolio. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm doing. But I'm looking for the macro signals. And then as well, the re-entry, right? So I've got, speaking of my playbook here, I have, I've got an actual book here, And what's really cool, so I got lots of you know, like visuals and all this sort of stuff in here, right? It's not like a novel. It's not like a book that you can just pick up. I mean, not just a book that you pick up and you just read through. It's like, oh, that was an interesting. Oh, that's a good story. That's good. Yeah, it was good, right? It's an actual playbook, right? How to play the market cycle. Now, I'm not coming from a guy that. Now, I'll be honest, right? I'm not the guy that's. How do you say this, right? Like. Oh yeah, it's not like a green candle chasing guy. I'm not a green candle chasing guy, sort of thing. Right? In fact, that's what I talk about, and they're not chasing green candles, right? But I'm not the guy that's sitting here by a Lamborghini. I don't have a Lamborghini parked in my garage right now. If I did, it probably, well. But I mean, I'm not telling you, hey, this is how I got my Lamborghini last cycle and what worked, and follow this now. No, this is my playbook. This is what a lot of things that I learned, through crypto over the past few years. This is how I'm playing it. And this is what I've been learning from guys in crypto and what I see actually happens. And I put this stuff together because I want to know what kind of signals I should be looking for. I want my macro top signals. How does this all work? Research all this, as far as liquidity, as far as these top signals. How do the feds work with this? And I just put it all together for myself, and I go, wow, this is very valuable stuff. People need this. So I put it together as a playbook to offer other people. So I got I have the Hart, like a paperback copy, but I also have a digital copy. So you could have both, right? A digital copy or a paperback copy, right? So I do have it that way. You can make your choice, right? So yeah. If you found value, if you liked it, there's also a free checklist. You can grab the checklist. Got the links for all this down below in the description too, probably, if you're watching the recording or if you're watching this live, right? But I got a free crypto checklist. You can go through the checklist, and then you could also, I got the playbook. But if you found value in this, make sure you drop me a comment, smash the like button. If you're not subscribed to my channel, you can subscribe. But yeah, I hope this was good. I hope you found some great valuable information in this new format for me doing live streams like this. Busting through the fear, right? Busting through it's out of the comfort zone. I'll be honest with you. It's out of the comfort zone. Coming and doing a live stream like this, because with doing a video, I could always edit. Like you do, right? I always edit my videos, and then I know I'm just talking. At first, doing videos, it was weird too, right? But but that gets easier. And then now it's like, okay, well, I'll do some live streams, but it's been hard to come on out here and actually do this, and been preparing for doing these for a while, So I'm just jumping out here and I'm doing it. That's what I'm doing. So I hope you found value. And we will put this up here. So buy Hex. Yeah, buy Hex, guys. Buy Hex. Buy them all. I'm not telling you, but I'm buying these. I think you should have a position, right? Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, hey, yes. A super chat. Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's good. Excellent. Appreciate that very much. Richard Hart, ecosystem is really simple. Just buy Hex. Yeah, I'm not really and I'm not just a maxi. I'm not a maxi. I think people are missing out if you're just a maxi, though. If that's all you want, then that's all you need. Sure, right? Now, actually, to tell you the truth, I'll be honest. In my playbook, that's not how I lay it out, though. I do lay out a portfolio on building a conviction based on portfolio. And this is also what I learned. I didn't build it exactly this way myself. And so I missed out as well, right? Because imagine if we just had hex, just hex, just hex, just hex. Hey, now, like, I'm super bullish on the ecosystem. I'm super bullish on Richard Hart. I'm super bullish on hex and PLS and all this, right? But I tell you what, if it was just hex, you would have been having nothing all the way, even up till now. It's still got a ways to go to even get back up to where it's got to be. If you're just coming into crypto right now, then you could be having in profits, right? But hex is still down. So I build a portfolio, and this is what I talk about too, by the way. Now, like in my playbook here, I've got what I refer to as it's a conviction-based portfolio. Now you could put the different percentages in different things, your own choice, right? How you do it. But I teach a green, yellow, and red portfolio, where I have green being my not only just foundation, but they are anchor cryptos. Bitcoin, Ethereum, right? And then yellow, which is high conviction altcoins with utility, strong use case. I've done my research. I have huge, high conviction on this type of stuff, right? For example, like Hex and PLSX, I consider this to be yellow, right? Green anchor, Bitcoin, Ethereum, that's anchor crypto. It's holding my anchor. The whole objective is to build up store value in some Bitcoin or something, right? Not at the top, but at the bottom. So I build it this way. I got my green anchor and I got my yellow conviction, where I have altcoins, strong conviction, use case, strong narratives with some DeepIn and AI, and then you've got your PulseX and you've got your Hex, you've got stuff like this in here, right? High conviction, okay? And then red bucket, red layer. This is moonshot, right? These ones here, like this here, I will say is going to be no more than 20%, 10 to 20% of your portfolio. These are high risk lotteries, gambling. These are moonshots, and they could have utility. Some of them could have utility, but they're so new. You're like, I don't really know about it. Or someone might say, well, I'm putting PLS and PLSX into my red bag. That's a strong moonshot. That's a high risk lottery. I'm putting it there, right? Whereas I wouldn't. I'd put it in the yellow because I have conviction. I've got high conviction in PLSX and PLS and Hex, and I've got strong conviction, and I understand the ecosystem. I understand Richard Hart. I understand what's happening. So therefore, I'm going to put those ones in to my yellow, and a strong yellow. It's like borderline going into green, but it's not an anchor, right? It's still got that risk in it, so that's what I mean. So the red bag is it's a moonshot. It's either going to the moon and giving me 100x, or it's going to zero. It could go either way, very easily either way, right? Where a yellow bag, my yellow layer, there's this very strong potential that it is going very, very well, going very good. Like you could be getting your 10x type of thing in a yellow bucket. And it's very low chance that it's going to go to zero type of thing, right? But it still could, right? Absolutely. So let's see here. Also, there's a meme coin called Ricky, which is undervalued. Yeah, it's a meme coin. See, like meme coin. Meme coin is completely red for me, right? Meme coins are red. They got no use. They're red, right? So doesn't mean you don't hold them, right? I just you hold them. It's like you throw a bet on them, right? Because I had a bunch of them that I threw a 20 or 50 down on some of them, and they did nothing. They went to zero. And following somebody, and went and I bought a whole bunch of these celebrity ones on Solana, because this guy said, hey, buy all these ones, and he was influencer in our community, and I did it, and they all went to zero. I'm like, oh shoot, those ones were really, really cheap that I threw down on them, right? It's like literally going to the casino, going, oh, that didn't do very well. Oh well, that's the attitude you got to have though in your red bag with moonshots. For example, so like, let me see here. Here's some favorite ones. Okay. And yeah, this would be a good one. That would be a good one. Let's see here. You found it useful. Thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Great. I'm glad you did. And we have your favorite moonshot. What was my favorite moonshot? Let's see. Favorite moonshots. And you may agree or you may disagree with some of this, right? For example, like Atropa. I'm gonna put that down in my red. I put that down in my red one as a moonshot, as a high risk lottery bag, high risk, low amount in type of thing, and it's done very well. pDAI, and I put pDAI there as well, but it's got a much stronger narrative. It's a narrative behind it, but those cranked up did very well, and I didn't take profits on them, and I should have. But then I did on Tropa when it went back up. And I'm still holding that one. Another one is Teddy Bear. That was one of my favorite. That is one of my favorite meme coins on moonshots. I think that there's a huge potential with that. It's just a meme, right? But it's got a strong potential. And then PTGC. I'll let you know that one. That PTGC. That one surprised me. I only grabbed it a little bit one time, and then it shot up and did amazing. I was like, wow, should have did a lot more of that one. But that's the power of euphoria. That's the power of your emotions sometimes, right? Is like, wow, I wish I did more than, but if you treated them that way, that's why I say your moonshots like that, your lottery tickets, if you throw them in it and some of them go to zero, and then the ones that go, they go to the moon, you're like, oh, I wish I bought more of that. And then you want to chase it. So don't do that. You can't chase those ones that did do that. And you got to remember, well, you see, that one made up for all those ones, right? So, yeah. But this has been a very long live stream. I can't believe it. So, and there's still a few on here, so I appreciate that. I'm going to jump off, and I'll let you know when I set up another live stream. Give me some, let's see here. I was going to say, give me some feedback. Give me some, if you got an idea that you want for a live stream, different things. If you like my format, you like the way I cover things like this, let me know. What do you want me to cover? I've got a bunch of ideas. I got a bunch of stuff that I can do, but I'm open to hearing what you got to say. For me, it's just actually, what do you call that? Stepping out and actually doing it sometimes, yeah. But anyways, yeah, let's end this here. It's been fun. Drop me some comments under the rendered video, under the what do you call it once it's finished, where it's a replay. Let me know what you think, and yeah, bye for now.